saying, "What are you looking so sad about, champ?"
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, man, one time during my career, I won a bum of my tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Miss Cass, BBO Sports TV, Al Booger, 21 YGL Green Light, 53. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cat Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, organizing a boxing event, A to Z. Organizing a boxing event from beginning to end. Today's show is brought to you by the legendary Thomas Hill. Has a family today. Back at the beginning of another big week of boxing history. We're going to go through the steps, making a boxing event today from when the fighters sign the contracts to when they step in the ring, and all steps in between. This could have been a series for like a week, but I tried to put it all into one show. Got 10 steps, and we're going to attempt to look at everything, promoter. Boxing commissions play a big part, but we're going to look at it today. Organizing a boxing event from A to Z. We're going to look at what is a boxing event, who organizes the event, and then we're going to look at putting it together, getting to it. But how's everybody this Monday afternoon? We got snow on the ground in Baltimore, single-digit temperatures, but I still did my walk. Got to get that exercise. Just got to put some clothes on, that's all. But good to see everybody again in the building so far. 21 YGL, Green Light, Al Booger. VVO Sports TV was here. He'll be back. He was here before I got into the building. Yeah, okay. But yeah, we are rapidly moving toward the end of the year, into 2026. I believe 2026 starting off with a bang. You got Shakur and Teofimo at the end of the month, January. A lot of people saying they're holding their breath because it ain't going to happen. They're saying Teofimo going to back up, but nah. Teofimo don't back up. He fought Loma, Josh Taylor. So yeah, we're going to get this thing in. I got Shakur by 12-round decision. 12-round decision. We're in the 12th round era now because Kim died after the Boom Boom Mancini fight. That was the catalyst to go from 15 to 12. Took them a few years to do it, but they finally did it. But yeah, we're gonna look at putting a fight card together today. The promoter is in charge of everything, and the boxing commission has a lot to say in who the officials are, referees, judges, all that. They could veto a referee or a judge, but you know, boxing. If say the promoter says, well, I got Al Booger judging the first and the third fights, and the commission said, well, Al Booger not on our approved list for referees, but then they get the fight night. All of a sudden, Al Booger on the card referee because somebody palms got greased. Somebody got that envelope. So, the promoter going to get his way. You just got to spread some money around. That's all. That's boxing for you. Follow the money. But we're going to get into it. But first, we're going to get into our fight of the day for today. We always start out with a classic fight from the past. We dig down into the archives and come up with a classic fight. That's what we're about to do. Without further ado, today's fight of the day. Studio audience sleeping on me out there. I know it's cold out there. Okay, but today's fight of the day is Marvin Hagler versus Tony Simpson, February the 11th, 1983. Marvin Hagler is simply marvelous. All right. Let's get into today's fight of the day. Hagler versus Simpson, February 11th, 1983. 42 years ago, Marvin Hagler is simply marvelous. Okay, excuse me for one moment. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. Fighters of the day today. Let me refresh the chat. Okay, there we go. Marvin Hagler versus Tony Simpson. A little short one today. There's a marvelous one up there. Yeah, on this day, Marvin Hagler was simply marvelous in dissecting a brave Tony Simpson. It must have been a terrifying thing, climbing into the ring to face an at his peak Marvin Hagler. From the years 1979 to 1985, Hagler was all but unbeatable. Added to this, and to the dread he may have felt, if not admitted, Tony Simpson has seen what the reigning middleweight king had done in prior fights with British opponents. other British opponents. Hagler had twice stopped the braver than brave Kevin Finnegan. Both fights coming before Hagler had made good on his goal of becoming world middleweight champion. Okay. And all fight fans know what a bloody job Marvelous did on Alan Minter in the fight. This sort of shaven-headed demon finally get to rule the world. Yeah. Minter was when he finally got his world title. Okay. Yeah, everybody saw that, what he did to Alan Minter on that night. That was, there's another shot of the Marvelous one. But Simpson, who was proud of his ability at fighting southpaws, was talking a good fight. Simpson was talking major trash. In fact, a great, even cocky fight going into his February 11th, 1983 challenge of Hagler. Sybil, as he was known, who had gained this shot with good wins at European title level, right? Simpson defeated Alan Minter, the man Hagler had beat for the title. Okay, Simpson had beat him. And Nicola Cirelli, with the 24-year-old from Leicester, also beating Dwight Davison in a WBC final eliminator. So that was what got him in the fight with Hagler. And he took the trip to Worcester, Massachusetts, armed with positivity. Went to Hagler's home to fight him too. Yeah. Simpson was full of confidence. Went to Massachusetts to fight the Marvelous one. Okay? So, but Hagler, a born fighter who had sweated buckets to reach the top, was not one to take a rival's swagger easily. Hagler was determined to put Simpson in his place and keep his title. Making the sixth defense of the middleweight championship, Hagler came in at 55 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws. And he went on to put on a flawless performance against the 40. Simpson came in 47-3-1, 1 draw. Hagler went on to put on a flawless performance against Tony. Tough Tony Simpson. There's Tony. Sharper than sharp and in typically superb condition, Hagler switched stance. He fired his bombs with brutal efficiency, and Marvelous presented a moving, hard-to-hit target. In short, as game as he was, Simpson was never in the fight. So sharp and accurate were Hagler's shots, Simpson's face was already marking up by round 2. Later, Simpson was wearing a bloody mask, his left eye busted up and pouring blood. Okay? Left eye was by round 2. Busted up and pouring blood. Left eye swollen, almost closed. But Simpson, who Hagler would later refer to as one of his toughest opponents, let his own hands go as best he could. And the challenger did manage to get the odd shot home. But this was the prime Marvin Hagler that Simpson was facing. And Hagler, as ruthless as he was special, soon inflicted further damage on Simpson's face. His nose in particular. There was a flash of frightening anger from Hagler at the end of the 5th round as Simpson landed a left after the bell on Hagler. Was given that stare from the no-nonsense Marvelous one. Simpson, knowing he had crossed the line, repeatedly tried to make amends by tapping Hagler on the cheek. Oh no, you had crossed the line, hit after the bell? What? Hagler was now in full seek and destroy mode. Okay? He was in full seek and destroy mode now. The man hit him after the bell. Hagler was now in full seek and destroy mode. Round 6 saw a great fighter at the peak of his powers get the finish he was looking for. Simpson, gained but damaged, was forced to take a sickening hammering in the 6th round. Hagler let loose with both hands, his hook sending Simpson down on his backside. It wasn't known at the time, but Simpson's groin protector had been snapped, perhaps by the force of his fall to the canvas. Hagler poured it on as Simpson got up and heroically tried to fire back. The champion's bomb sent the challenger down again, with Simpson this time pitching forward on one knee. A thoroughly beaten man, Simpson somehow managed to get up, only to be saved by the referee. Yeah, the referee had seen enough. Yeah, Simpson got up, but the referee said, no, that's it, Tony. Hagler blew kisses to his satisfied fans. They were in his home, Massachusetts, in Hagler's home state. He blew kisses to his satisfied fans. Mike Rem in the building. Salute Mike Rem. Fight of the day is Marvin Hagler versus Tony Simpson, February 11th, 1983, 42 years ago. Marvin Hagler was simply marvelous that day. Simpson tried his best, though, but his best just wasn't even close to enough. So after the referee stopped, and they were in Massachusetts, in Hagler's home, right? So after the referee stopped it, Hagler blew kisses to his satisfied fans. His reign seemingly set to last as long as he wanted it to. Hagler would soon face Roberto Duran, and then Thomas Hearns, and then Sugar Ray Leonard. Now Simpson went back to European and British and Commonwealth level, and into memorable fights with Mark Kaler, and up at light heavyweight, Dennis Andres. Cyborg got a second crack at a world middleweight title in his final fight of his career, this against Frank Tate in 1988, almost 5 years to the day after the Hagler fight. Yep, almost 5 years to the day. Today, 66-year-old Simpson, a British fan favorite, can attest to the fact that a primed and peaking marvelous Marvin Hagler was indeed an unbeatable fighting machine. There you have it, the fighters a day, and there's your winner, marvelous Marvin Hagler. He was simply marvelous that day. Simpson didn't stand a chance. But Simpson came in talking trash. He was confident enough to come to Hagler's home in Massachusetts and fight him. And Marvin and Tony became great, good, real close friends. To the end, Tony is still living, 66 years old. They was friends to the end of Marvin's life. Okay, today, organizing a boxing event, A to Z. Okay, we're going to put it into 10 steps. Put to you by Thomas Hill. Okay, we're going to put the event into 10 steps. Okay, from when they sign the cards to when they step in the ring and all the little steps in between. Okay, organizing a fight card, A to Z. We're going to talk about the timekeepers, the ring girls, everything in the promotion. We're going to cover today. All right. We got Mike Rem, 21YGL Green Light, Al Booger, BBO Sports TV, Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody. And we got Ray Patterson, straight out of New Jersey. What's up, RP? How you doing today? Hope everybody had a great weekend. Good to see everybody on the other side of it. It just seemed like 10 minutes ago, I was telling everybody have a good weekend. It was Friday. That seemed like about 10 to 15 minutes ago. Now it's Monday. I don't even remember Saturday and Sunday. But I guess they went by. I don't know. Okay, it ain't age. I hear young people talking about how fast time going by. So I don't know what's going on. I think that I went up in that space shuttle and speeded the earth up. Because this is not natural the way this time is going by, man. I woke up like 8 o'clock this morning. They think I know it was like 1 o'clock. I was like, damn, it's almost 2 o'clock. Okay, but organizing a boxing event, A to Z today. Okay, so first thing, What is a boxing event anyway? Excuse me for a minute. I need some more light. Working off notes. Bear with me because these written, y'all know how my handwriting is. One more. Okay. Y'all have had experience with my handwriting, so bear with me. We're gonna work our way through it though. Okay. All right, organize your fight card A to Z. The first thing we're gonna look at is what is a fight card anyway. Okay. What is the fight card? What is a boxing event? What is a boxing event? And right there, that's why I use that for the thumbnail, because Don King, well, he was in jail for that one, but he did events, and that was a boxing event, not just a fight right there. That was the fight of the century. Iconic. That was so iconic that the daughters fought on the 30th anniversary. Jacqueline Frazier Lyde and Layla Ali fought on the 30th year anniversary. That was March 8th, 1971. The daughters fought on March 8th, 2001. That's iconic. When your children fight on the anniversary, right? That's iconic. But what is a boxing event anyway? Okay, so a boxing event is a regulated sport competition involving numerous matchups in which two opponents wearing boxing gloves punch each other in a ring for a set number of rounds, aiming to score points or knock out their opponent under strict rules and supervision by referees and officials, with professional fights fought for prize money and amateur Olympic events for experience, medals, trophies, and glory. Okay? So, the key components of a boxing event. Let's look at some key components of the event. Okay? The ring. Gotta have a boxing ring, right? Now, I told you we call from everything, from A to Z, making an event. Now, the ring is a square platform with ropes, usually with blue and red corners for the fighters. And then to have a boxing event, you gotta have the fighters, right? The fighters. Two athletes matched by weight and skill, using gloved fists to hit each other. Then rounds. The fights are divided into timed rounds. For example, 3 minutes in professional boxing, with short breaks between rounds. 1 minute in between rounds in the professional ranks. Now, the objective of the fight is to outscore your opponent through clean punches, or to win by knockout or technical knockout, right? Now, equipment. Fighters wear gloves, hand wraps, mouth guards, and groin protectors. Officials. Now, referee manages the fight in the ring while judges score points and commissions oversee safety. Like I said, the commission plays a big role in setting up. As we go through, you'll see the commission plays a huge role. You know, they have to approve everybody. The fighters even have to approve the promoter, the judges, everybody, referee, commission. The promoter selects these people, but they have to be approved by the commission in the jurisdiction, wherever, what state or locality, wherever or country, wherever the fight is at. You know, some places referee might not be on their list of approved referees to referee a fight. Okay, so yeah. Now, types of boxing events. Different types of boxing events too, right? So we have the professional event. Now, these fights are for purses and titles, usually 4 to 12 rounds, sanctioned by organizations like the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. Those are the main four. There are others sanctioning bodies like the IBO, IBC, minor ones. But the big four are the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. So that's the professional event. Then you have the amateur and Olympic events, okay? Now, these are shorter fights, usually 3 rounds. And again, they are fought for experience, trophies, medals, and also for glory. And amateur boxing is governed by organizations like USA Boxing. Each country usually just have one governing organization for amateur boxing in their country. The United States is USA Boxing, governs all amateur boxing in the United States. And then the third type of boxing event is an exhibition. The exhibitions are non-competitive or charity fights, often with fewer rounds for entertainment. The exhibitions, you can be paid, like Floyd said, legalized bank robbery. So it's not just for entertainment, Exhibitions, fighters do get paid for in some cases, not all the time, but yeah. In essence, a boxing event is a structured, physically demanding series of contests of skill, strength, and endurance, each between 2 boxers, governed by established rules for fair play and safety. Okay, so now we've looked at what a boxing event is. So the next question is, who organizes the boxing event? Okay, who organizes the boxing event? Glad y'all asked. Let's talk about it. Who organizes the boxing event? Those 2 gentlemen on the screen has organized a few boxing events, I would say. What y'all say? They don't organize the few. Still organizing them. As a matter of fact, both of them. And both of them 94 years old. The Barfather just turned 94 last Monday, December 8th, when we were doing the Don King show. I knew his birthday was in December, but I realized that later that week it was that Monday. This day we did the Don King show, and Don King was August 20th. Exact same age. Okay. But who organizes a boxing event? Let's talk about that now. Who organizes these events? Man, I need a drink bag. Okay. Who organizes them? Like I said, those 2 gentlemen there and organized the few. And again, still organizing them. The Barfather still at top level doing it. Okay, who organizes a boxing event? Okay, now boxing events are organized by promoters, which can be an individual or a company, such as Top Rank, Golden Boy, Matchroom, or Queensbury, just to mention a few promotional companies. There are others. Those are just a few of those 4. Okay? It can be an individual or a company, a promoter can be. Now, the promoter handles all logistics, finances, marketing, and matchmaking, working with matchmakers, boxing commissions, venues, broadcasters, and fighters managers to create the show. Okay? To create the show. This show is brought to you by Thomas Hill. He's probably going to catch the playback, but he'll be here. Okay. He was really pressing me on doing this. I was supposed to do it Wednesday. He came in. What happened? Drop the link. But I told him it's better to do it on Monday. Give me the weekend time to get more in it. Okay. But I done condensed it into 10 steps in one day. This could be a whole week, but yeah, I'm going to do my best. But yeah, the promoter handles all the logistics, finances, marketing, matchmaking, and it works with the matchmakers, boxing commissions, venues, broadcasters, and fighters managers to create the show. And I'm going to talk about the commission separately in a minute, because commissions play a huge role in these. He pressed me out, brother. The commissions play a huge role in these making these boxing shows. Now, the key players in in making a boxing event and their roles. Of course, the promoter. The promoter is the architect, right? The central figure of the entire cast as far as promoting the event, as far as organizing the event. The promoter is the architect, okay? He's responsible for funding, promoting, and producing the entire event. For example, things like securing the venue, TV deals, and managing budgets, among other things. Now, another key player is the matchmaker. Now, the matchmaker works with the promoters and fighters. The matchmaker works with the promoters and fighter managers to create exciting, competitive fights that fans will pay to see, matching up fighters by weight and skill. I should say attempt to create exciting, competitive fights. We all know these fights ain't always exciting and competitive. So the matchmaker attempts to create exciting and competitive fights, right? You got to put attempt in there because some of these fights are not competitive and exciting. Some of them are just straight beatdowns, and some of them are boring, you know? So yeah, the matchmaker attempts to create exciting, competitive fights. And he matches fighters by weight and skill, if possible, but definitely by weight class. Now, the fighters' managers is another key player in setting up the event, okay? The fighters' managers. Now, the managers represents the fighters. They negotiate purses and terms with the promoters, okay? Now, the manager have other duties like they sponsorships and speaking engagements for fighters, but that don't have nothing to do with the organizing the show. The main jobs of the fighters, managers, and organizing the fight card is negotiating the purses and the terms for their specific fighters, right? That's their primary roles in organizing a fight event, okay? And then you have the boxing commissions. Like I said, they play a big role. We're going to talk about them separately in a minute. You know, another key player in organizing the card fighting event, boxing event, is the boxing commission. State or local regulatory bodies that oversee events, ensuring fighters' safety, medicals, and licensing. Yeah, they have to say over the judges, the referees, everybody. Now they don't. The promoter picks them, but the commission has to approve them. You know, each like one state you might just be able to use this referee. Another state he might not be on that list for that state or a judge. Now you know, referees do multiple. Like you might have 6 fights on the card, but just 3 referees. Like one referee might do the first fight, the third fight. Another one do the second and the fourth fight. Another one do the 4th and the 6th or whatever. But yeah. I know y'all notice the referees and judges do more than one fight on the cards. So yeah, but they have to be approved by the commission, whatever jurisdiction the fight is taking place in. And then we have the sanctioning bodies. Again, the WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO, those are the main 4. Now, while the sanctioning bodies are not directly organizing fights, they sanction title fights and provide rankings, lending legitimacy to major events, okay? And the sanctioning bodies lend legitimacy because, you know, they're the ones who are in control of the titles and everything and the rankings and all that type of thing, okay? In essence, the promoter orchestrates the entire spectacle, bringing together fighters, fans, media, all at the venue to deliver a fight night. Okay, so now, oh, I didn't even change. That was supposed to be, yes, okay. Yeah. So organizing the event, okay? Yeah, organizing, now let's go, we got 10 steps. Organizing a boxing event, okay? Broken down into 10 steps, okay? Now, setting up a boxing event, whether an amateur fight a professional fight, or exhibition event requires careful attention to legal, safety, logistical, and promotional details. The checklist we will discuss today organizes the process into practical steps so the fight is safe, compliant, and if desired, marketable. Okay? So let's look at step one. Step one. You have to define the event type and the participants. Okay. So we went over those 3 types: pro, amateur, exhibition. The first step, define the type of event you're gonna have and the fighters that's gonna participate in it. Okay. So you decide whether the event is going to be amateur, professional, or the exhibition. Now, each of these types of events have different rules, officiating, and sanctioning requirements. Okay? Each type of event, rules, different type of officiating, and sanctioning requirements. Okay? So then, you confirm the records, weight classes, experience, and medical status of the fighters that are scheduled to compete in the event. Okay? For safe competition, pair fighters by weight class. So then you have to obtain written agreements. This is when you get the fight contract signed by all the fighters. That's in the first step. Get the fight contract signed by all the fighters that's going to be competing in the event, right? And the contracts will specify the date and time of the event, the purse, if professional, all this is in the contract. The weight class, each fighter is going to be fighting in, because you might have 6 or 7 fights in the event. Each fighter's contract will specify the weight class or contracted catch weight, the number of rounds for each fight, and liability release language. And what the liability release language means is this is a clause in the fighter's contract where the fighters agree to give up their right to sue the promoter or event organizers for injuries and damages that result from the fight. But these waivers cannot be used by the event organizers to escape liability for gross negligence or intentional misconduct or reckless acts. Okay? Say like you suffer a broken arm or something, you can't sue the promoter for that, but you have a big hole over in the corner, step in and break your leg, you can sue for that because that's gross negligence, right? So you sign these waivers, but the promoter cannot use these waivers to get away from gross negligence or intentional misconduct or reckless acts. That's what the liability release language is. That's in the contract. Giving up your right to sue, but still the promoter has to act in good faith. Okay. Now let's talk about the Boxing Commission now. Yeah, let's talk about the Boxing Commission. I don't know who that is. That's somebody. That's something to do with boxing. The Boxing Commission. Okay. Now, boxing commissions primarily serve as regulatory and oversight bodies for a fight card, focusing on safety, fairness, and adherence to established rules. Now, key roles and responsibilities of the commission: licensing and registration. Commissions are the final authority on licensing matters, having the power to approve, deny, revoke, or suspend all licenses for participants, fighters, managers, matchmakers, referees, judges, even the promoter, seconds, etc. The commission has the final say on anybody who participates in this boxing event. Okay? They can revoke anybody's license, fighters, referees, anybody, judges. All this got to run through the commission of the jurisdiction that the fight is happening in. Commissions have the final say in everything. Now, health and safety oversight. This is one of the commission's primary roles. They establish high health and safety standards for participants in the event. Rules enforcement and standards. Commissions set the formal rules for how fights are conducted within their jurisdiction. You know, like one jurisdiction, you can use a certain type of tape on the hand wraps. Another jurisdiction, you might have to use another type of tape, right? So they set that's an example. The formal rules for how fights are conducted within their jurisdiction. Only sport like that. Any other sport, wherever you at, all the rules are the same, but boxing is the only sport like that. State to state or local jurisdiction or country, the rules change, okay? Only sport like that. Official selection and approval. The commission select and approve the officials for fights, including referees and judges. Fight approval and supervision. The commission must approve all proposed fights on the fight card to ensure fair and adequate for the public, supervising the activity in their jurisdiction. Yeah, they even get to, all the fights on the card have to be run by the commission. They even have to approve all the matchups. Financial and contract oversight. Now, promoters are required to disclose financial information to the commissions. The commission also enforces rules against coercive and exploitative contract provisions. Record keeping. The commissions are responsible for reporting the results of all fights to a central registry, typically within 48 hours after the conclusion of the event. Okay? So now let's go to step 2. That was just a little bit about all the power that the commission had. Step 2. Step 1 was just basically getting the contract signed and just selecting all the fights that's going to actually happen on the card and all, running that by the commission. Step 2, obtain sanctioning and permits. Obtain sanctioning and permits. Now, for sanctioned amateur or professional fights, apply to the relevant boxing commission or national body. Submit the fighters' licenses, fight agreements, official requested and applicable fees. Officials requested applicable fees. Officials requested like the judges and referees, all of that. Now, for professional fights, secure a promoter's license and meet state commission regulations, medical clearances, drug testing, officials, and insurance. Like for drug testing, one state you may be able to, the promoter may be able to pick the agency that does the drug testing and just get the results to the commission. In another state, the commission might want you to go to a certain agency and get the drug testing done, okay? Just depends on the jurisdiction. Now, for non-commissioned club events, like exhibitions, still check local permits for venue use and public events and confirm legal age for the jurisdiction in case your events includes minors, right? In case minors are involved in your exhibitions. So still check with the commission. Okay, step 3. There's an big time promoter. Text record. Step 3, medical and safety requirements. Medical and safety requirements. Pre-fight medicals, okay? You have to have a neurological exam, blood work, ECG, ophthalmologic check. All of these procedures had to be done by every fighter on the card, following the commission's guidelines. Now, the time frame in which the medicals have to be completed depend on this jurisdiction the event takes place in. Again, all the commissions have different timelines, when the medicals and stuff have to be done by. Some might say, well, 2 months before the fight. Some might say, well, it's got to be turned in 2 weeks before the fight. They just got, different timelines, just depending on the jurisdiction. Okay? A ringside doctor has to be hired to be ringside for every fight on the card. And an ambulance has to be on call. Okay? And you have to have an emergency action plan in place for the event, such as the location of the nearest hospital, and you even have to have the transport route from the venue to the hospital mapped out, okay? Given to the commission. The nearest hospital and the transport route from the venue to the hospital. All that have to be worked out before in the build up to the fight. All that's part of the making the card. Technique. What's up, Technique? Salute. And BBO. Yeah, we talking about organizing a fight card today. We on step 3. Yeah. The medicals and the safety requirements, right? Yeah, we were just talking about how you have to know where the nearest hospital is, have to have an ambulance on call, a physician at ringside for every fight on the card, and you even have to have it down to the route that the ambulance is going to take to the hospital in case it's needed. Okay, all that have to be mapped out in the or when you're organizing the card, right? And this commission wants to see all of that, right? They want to know what route the ambulance is going to take to the hospital in case somebody needs to go, right? Okay. Protective equipment is part of step 3. Yeah, protective equipment. Now, the gloves the fighters wear have been approved for a certain weight, okay? Certain weight of the gloves. They wear mouth guards, groin, boxer cup, and headgear for amateurs if required, okay? Okay, step number 4. Broke it down into 10 different steps. Step number 4. Ran Hearns. Bruce Gas. What's up, Bruce Gas? Boxing, Jazz, and more in the building. Salute. Wow. There's the big wigs in here. Ooh. Technique, Bruce Gas, BBO, RP out, Booker, Mike Grimm. Damn, YGL, 21 YGL, green light. Ooh, okay. Step 4, but salute, Bruce Gas. Yeah, we talking about organizing a fight card, right? Just not in real detail, just, brief going through the steps. Step 4, select and prepare the officials. Select and prepare the officials, okay? Appoint licensed referees. 3 for each fight. 3 judges. And now all this is for each fight on the card. A timekeeper, inspector, and ringside physician. And these have to be approved through the commission, right? And like I said, you might have 6 fights on the card, but just 3 referees, because we noticed that, when you're heading the card, referees do more than 1 fight on the card. So do the judges, Like one referee might do 1st and 3rd, one might do the 2nd and 4th or whatever. But they got to be approved by the commission. Because, you might want a referee, but the commission might say, no, he's not on our list. But then if the right palms get greased, and the right people get that envelope, all of a sudden he's on the list. That's boxing for you, right? But yeah, referees, judges, timekeeper, inspector, and ringside physician. Approved by the commission for every fight on the card. Or for unsanctioned events like exhibitions, a trusted referee. Like I said, referees and judges had to be designated for every fight on the card. Okay? And, before the card occurs, you have to say which referee, which judge is going to do which fight. You can't just come in there after the card starts and say, well, Joe, you go do this fight, and Jim, you do that fight. No, all that has to be specified to the commission before the fight, before the card even begins. What referee going to do what fight, what judge is going to judge what fight, all of that. Okay? And then you have to provide officials with belt sheet, rules, round length, and glove size. And a belt sheet is the official record used by judges and officials to track the scoring of the fight, detailing round by round points, deductions, knockdowns, and ultimately determining the winner based on the 10-point must system when there's no knockout. The belt sheet is essentially the running tally for the entire fight, filled out for each fighter, okay? And you have to arrange for an experienced inspector to oversee the weigh-ins and glove inspections, okay? Step number 5. Where the hell is the cursor at? Oh, there it is. There's a legendary Bert Sugar, part of the greatest boxing historian ever. Yeah, Bert Sugar. That's my idol. Yeah, the legendary Bert Sugar. Here he is. Got his hat on. Okay. And his cigar. Okay, step 5. Venue, ring, and logistics. Venue, ring, and logistics. Salute, Bruce. Appreciate you. 1,000%. Yeah, Bruce Gas got the quiz. I think it's on Tuesdays tomorrow. Yeah. Those are some hard questions, man. I'm scared to go in there. But salute, Bruce. Yeah. Great show. Bruce Gas, Boxing Gas, and more. Okay, step 5. Venue, ring, and logistics. Now, the venue is chosen according to expected crowd size and regulatory needs, such as locker rooms, medical room, and access to the ambulance. Okay? Now, an approved ring is rented or built with proper padding and ropes. And also proper lighting and PA system is also secured, right? Seating, ticketing, security, crowd control, and risk assessment are arranged for the event. Sound, lighting, cues, and walkout music logistics have to be scheduled. Yeah, all of this. And the promoter is in charge of all of this stuff. A lot of them have to be run through the commission, but it all comes down to the promoter to get it done, okay? Sound, lighting, lighting cues, and walkout music logistics have to be scheduled. Those guys just don't turn on a boom box and walk out there. All this stuff had to be scheduled and written down, and what fighter going to use what music and all of that, right? Okay. Step 6. Step 6. Yeah, look, I take Bert Sugar off. Okay, step 6. There's Bud and Canelo. Okay. Now we're up to the weigh-ins and the fight day procedures. Okay? We're up to fight day now. Mike Mazzick, salute. What's up, Mike Mazzick? Organizing a fight card, Mike. Still no Thomas Hill. This show is brought to you by Thomas Hill. He might be listening. Thomas Hill got a busy type job, They might just get busy all of a sudden, and we might not see Thomas Hill for weeks. But salute T. Hill if you're listening. Okay, step 6. We're up to fight day. Weigh-ins and the fight day procedures now. Okay. We got the contract signed, and we pick the judges and the referees, then located the nearest hospital to the venue, the route the ambulance going to take to the venue. We got the ringside doctor that we're going to use for the fight, all of that, the judges, all of that. So now, the weigh-ins and fight day procedures, okay? Now the official weigh-in time and location, because the weigh-in might not be at the venue where the fight's going to take place. It's going to be nearby. So the official weigh-in time and the location of where the weigh-in is going to be at is organized according to the commission's guidelines. Now the procedures are published in advance. Glove inspections, all this is on fight day now. Glove inspections and hand wrap checks must be conducted before each fight on the card. Commission certified inspectors are used to approve hand wraps and gloves. Okay? You can't just get your own people. You got to have certified by the commission, whatever jurisdiction you're fighting in, to inspect the gloves and the hand wraps. Told you the commission have a big role in setting up these events. And if you don't like the commission, then go to another jurisdiction if you're the promoter, right? But yeah. Now, other things that have to be confirmed on fight day are the fighters' transport to the venue from their lodgings. Whatever hotel or wherever the fighters staying, all this ahead of time has to be mapped out. The fighters' transport to the venue from their lodgings, the locker room or dressing room assignments, warm-up areas, and the ring walk times. What fight you're going to be on the card. You're going to be the first, second, third, fourth, whatever fight, right? The ring walk times, all that stuff have to be set up. Okay. The belt sheets, judge, referee scorecards, and medical release forms must be kept accessible. It's not 3 minutes to 3. Wow, I just been on here like 10 minutes. But it was like 2:15. Yeah. Okay. We got some stuff to do. Okay, yeah. The bout sheets, judge, referee scorecards, and medical release forms must be kept accessible. Okay, let's go to step 7. Because we're going to talk about the ring girls and the timekeeping, all that stuff. Yeah, the ring girl, part of the promotion. Okay, step 7. Who's already here? Step 7 is the rounds and judging criteria. Now, the number of rounds for each fight has to be defined. Amateur fights are typically 3 rounds, while professional fights varies. Like if you got a prospect fight on there, probably like 4 rounds, or a non-title fight can be 6, 8, or 10. Title fights, title eliminators, fights 12 rounds. All it has to be specified, okay? Now, the type of scoring that will be used for the event has to be communicated. The options are, normally it's the 10-point must system, or the amateur point system, or specific commission rules can be used. The commission might have some other system they come up with, but usually the 10-point must system. Fouls, standing 8 counts, point deductions, and disqualification procedures have to be specified. Okay? Step number 8. Step number 8. Oh, there we go. I lost the clip. Step number 8. Promotion, tickets, and broadcasting, if applicable. Now, event branding has to be created, such as flyers, social media, and press releases. Fighters' bios and records should be highlighted Ticketing platforms, pricing tiers, and box office logistics have to be managed. Event organizers negotiate broadcast, streaming rights, or set up pay-per-view streaming infrastructure. Production crews and commentators had to be put in place for the broadcast of the event. TV, radio, all that have to be put in place. Step number 9. Just Do Boxing. What's up, Just Do? Just Do, we putting a fight event together. Each step, we're up to step number 9 now. The 10 steps. But Just Do coming up at 4 p.m. today. Salute, Just Do. Okay, step number 9. Financials and contracts. Financials and contracts. Now the purse structure, the purse structure is established along with a payment schedule and expense location for things such as expense allocation for things such as venue, officials, or medicals. Now for professional boxing events, contracts had to be filed with the commission, and promoter guarantees, deposits had to be secured. Now, the promoter guarantees and deposits primarily consist of surety bonds and proof of liquid financial assets, which are required by state athletic commissions and sanctioning bodies to ensure all financial obligations are met. Yeah. The promoter have to prove that he can pay all these fighters and everybody, right? So the commissioner wants to make sure you got the assets to take care of all this business, right? So yeah, surety bonds, and that's called the promoter guarantees and deposits. Now all accounting has to remain transparent throughout the process of setting up the event. And a contingency fund should be maintained for unforeseen costs. Okay? Okay, so now it's fight day, and the promoter has a checklist that he goes down to make sure he covered everything, and setting the fight up. Okay? Things like, is the contract signed by all fighters on the card? You got all the contracts signed by the fighters? You have your sanctioning permit, okay? Licensed officials and ringside physicians. You got the judges, referees, ringside physician, all that set up. You got the ambulance and the nearest hospital, the ambulance route, the ambulance on call, all of that. The venue and ring secured. Pre-fight medicals, are they done? You got the weigh-in schedule, and if so, completed. Gloves and hand wraps inspected. The emergency plan and ambulance confirmed, such as the nearest hospital, the route to the hospital if needed. Tickets, promotion, and staff briefed. And do you have the post-fight reporting prepared? And then step 10. Step 10 is the post-fight administration. Okay, the card is over now. Post-fight administration. It is Oscar. Did Oscar pay Devin and Ryan yet? That's part of the post-fight administration. And immediately after the event, all the fights are over, right? All of the official results and judges' scorecards had to be submitted to the commission right away. You can't give them to them like next week. The commission has to have all this stuff right after the event ends. Okay? Post-fight medical checks had to be set up and administered. Every fighter on the card have to have a post-fight after their fight. You know, have to have a post-fight medical, just like they had a pre-fight medical. If any disciplinary actions resulted from the event, such as fines, suspensions, it had to be communicated and noted. Right? All persons have to be dispersed, and any other contractual obligations settled immediately after the fight, not next week. Okay? I mean, the fighter won his purse after the fight. You don't want you to mail it to him next month. I done gotten in for it. Give me my check. Or give me cash. Whatever you're going to give me, give it here. After the fight, all persons had to be dispersed and any other contractual obligations settled. Okay? Any footage from the fights on the card, along with medical records and fight documentation, must be saved for regulatory compliance. Okay? Must be saved. Okay, for regulatory compliance. Okay, 17. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I did that. Excuse me for a minute. I got my signals crossed here. Let's see. Yeah, we did that. Okay. Yeah, that was the post-fight administration. Okay, so then, okay, yeah. All right. So next is these are some things to avoid when you're setting up a fight card. Some things to avoid. Things to attempt to avoid when organizing the event. Mismatching fighters by experience or weight, if at all possible. You're not going to do it by weight, but by experience, if possible. Try not to mismatch them. Okay? Like put a fighter 2-0 in there with somebody 30-0, right? Try not to do that. Inadequate emergency coverage or ringside physician. Okay? You got somebody over there that said they went to night school. That's your ringside physician. I went to night school for 2 hours, right? I'm a doctor. No. Inadequate emergency coverage for the ringside physician. A qualified physician need to be your ringside physician for the fight, okay? Poorly secured fight contracts or unclear purse term. Yeah. Well, that's up to the fighters' managers there to be clear on their purse terms and the contracts. And the fighter contract, right? The fight, that's why they got a manager. Overlooking local permit or commission rules. These are some things you try to avoid. Okay, summary. Setting up a fight. Now treat fighters' safety and regulatory compliance as primary constraints. Start by defining fight type, secure sanctioning and medical clearances, confirm officials and venue, logistics, and finalize contracts and promotion. Follow a structured checklist. Following a structured checklist prevents common failures and ensures a professional and safe event. Okay? Now, I think I covered this. Now, the referees and judges are selected by the governing athletic commission, not the promoters, using experienced, certified officials from a pool who meet high standards, often chosen from neutral areas for big fights, if at all possible. You know, you got a German fighter in a championship fight. You try not to have a German referee if possible, okay? Selection involves vetting, training, and sometimes random draws for majority fights to ensure fairness and prevent bias. Now, officials must be licensed by the State Athletic Commission in the jurisdiction where the fight is taking place at, and they complete certification courses. Now, after the host commission appoints these referees and judges, their decisions is final. This ensures independence from the promoters. Now, for championship or major fights, again, officials from the same region as the fighters are avoided, when possible. The referee is the sole arbiter in the ring, responsible for safety, enforcing the rules, and stopping a fight when appropriate. There are typically 3 ringside judges for every fight on the event. They score the rounds using a 10-point must system or by specific commission rules. Okay. Now, boxers pay promoters to promote them, right? But boxers have always promoted themselves too, especially when they got fights coming up. But not today, boxers promote themselves at the highest level, at a higher level than they ever had because of social media, okay? It gives boxers straight access to fans. So boxers really promote themselves today more than ever. Let's talk about that, okay? Boxers heavily promote themselves on social media using platforms like Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok to build brands, engage with fans, secure sponsorships, and increase fight visibility. This practice is accelerated by influencer boxers who blend digital fame with the sport, making online presence as crucial as in-ring performance. And like influencer boxers, regular top-level stars of the sport have increasingly used social media to grow their popularity and visibility in the sport and in general. Boxers use social media to define their unique style, values, and create a compelling narrative that resonates with fans to build a loyal following. Social media platforms allow direct interaction, questions and answers, and sharing behind-the-scenes glimpses into their personal lives to help foster deeper connections with fans, okay? High engagement and large followings on the platforms attract major sponsors such as Nike, Bud Light, and other major brands, creating significant revenue streams beyond fight persons. Social media numbers / followers have become just as important to many boxers as titles for gaining popularity and selling tickets. Boxers create content such as training, sparring, and lifestyle. This type of content provides endless material and keeps fans invested, okay? Now let's talk about the ring girl, the old ring girl, the ring girl, the old ring girl, okay? The ring girl. Now, ring girl is a model or promotional model who walks around the ring between rounds, holding a sign with the number of the round, upcoming round on the sign, serving to inform the audience and add entertainment, glamour, and a marketing platform for sponsors at combat sports events like boxing, MMA, and kickboxing. Now, the ring girl's primary job is to display the round number to spectators and judges. Now, they also add visual appeal and excitement, often wearing revealing and stylish outfits. Okay, it represents event sponsors, hold banners, pose for photos, and boost social media engagement, making them part of the marketing for the event. Making them part of the marketing for the event. There's Thomas Hill. What's up, Thomas Hill? We're winding down, man. Salute. This show is brought to you by Thomas Hill. We're talking about the ring girl now, T. Hill. Part of the promotion. Now, the ring girl tradition began in Las Vegas in the 1960s to add a lure and to help draw attention to fights. And the ring girl became a staple by the 1970s. The role gained wider fame with the rise of MMA and figures like Ariane Celeste and Brittany Palmer, who turned the ring girl position into a career. The ring girl. Okay, so now let's talk about the timekeeper role. Yeah, we went through the card. We just talking about some of the, well, not minor, because the timekeeper plays a major role on the fights. Just ask Jack Dempsey in the long count fight, remember? Jack Dempsey wouldn't go to the neutral corner, so the referee stopped counting. And then when they got Dempsey to the neutral corner, the timekeeper was at 5. So the timekeeper was waiting for the referee to look at him so he could tell the referee where to start at. But the referee didn't look at the timekeeper. He started back over at 0. So the timekeeper said he went back to 0 too. But the timekeeper had 2 stopwatches on his desk. And the one he started over with, the referee went to like 8 or 9 before Tunney got up. But the original one had like 17 seconds on it. That's how long G. Tunney was on the mat. So the timekeeper is very important. But he said since the referee didn't look at him, he just went back to 0 like the referee, but he kept that second time watch running, and Gene Tunney got 17 seconds on the mat. But the official time was the 8 seconds he got up that the referee was keeping. But the referee was supposed to look at the timekeeper, was waiting for the referee to look at him after he got Jack Dempsey to the neutral corner so he could tell him where to start at. He should have started like 5, but he went back to 0. But the timekeeper, so a very important part of the sport. There's the timekeeper right there. Usually like a timekeeper is also sometimes like a backup referee, you know, in case the referee get hurt or something. See, she's ready to step in there, I guess. But anyway, here we go. Now, boxing timekeeper's main duty is to accurately time rounds and rest periods, signaling the start and end of rounds with a bell or a gong, and helping the referee with counts, especially for knockdowns, by counting seconds allowed and indicating the count visually for the referee and judges, right? Now, they use stopwatches to manage round duration, right? And they warn the seconds, and you know, the corner people, 10 seconds before the rounds start, and also the clapper, 10 seconds before the end, remember? Clap, clap, clap. Yeah. So they warn the seconds and the fighters 10 seconds before the round is getting ready to start, telling the seconds to get out of there and letting the fighters know that clap, you got 10 seconds left in this round, right? It's close. Try to steal it in them last 10 seconds, right? And they usually use a whistle to get them out of there when the round give 10 seconds before the round start, and the gavel, the clapper, 10 seconds before it ends, right? Now the timekeeper stops the clock for referee call timeout during the fight, such as like he get ready to deduct a foul for like a low blow, or it might be an equipment issue. The referee stops the round. He'll point to the timekeeper. Time, he stopped it. And the timekeeper will record the exact stoppage time. Okay? He has to know the second when the referee stopped it, and when the referee stayed time back in, he has to start it right back up at that exact second. You can't stop it at like 1:31 of the round and start it back up at like 1:41 of the round. You have to start it right back up at that exact second. So the timekeeper is very important, right? Now they operate an accurate stopwatch or clock and ensure it's working in working order throughout the entire fight or the entire event, right? Now the timekeeper must remain neutral and avoid giving any other information or signals during the fight, okay? So now we are going to look at, we're talking about fight events. We're going to look at 10 of the biggest pay-per-view earning events in boxing history. Okay? 10 of the biggest pay-per-view events in boxing history. I think Florida's in like 7 of them or something like that. 4 of the top 5. And Mike Tyson and Peter McNeely is top 5. That was Mike Tyson's first fight out of prison, remember? And they wanted it to be George Foreman. So if him and Tony Simpson was top 5, imagine what him and Big George would have done if that would have been his first fight back. Because Big George was embarking on his comeback, remember? When Mike got out of prison. He was right in the middle of it. But Customato had told Mike, don't ever fight George Foreman. You see what happened to Joe Frazier? That's what's going to happen to you. But Mike wouldn't have kept getting up. Frazier got up 6 times. I ain't got Mike Tyson get back up all that many times. Maybe once or twice. But yeah, the top 10 pay-per-views of all time. Now, okay, since we're talking about fight cards and stuff, let's see. Yeah, I believe Florida's in a few of them. Mm-hmm. This is as far as pay-per-view buys, I believe. Yeah. Okay, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. 10 biggest earning boxing pay-per-view events. Yeah, in boxing history. Biggest earning. Now, Floyd and Manny remains the biggest as of right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think him and Conor McGregor came in second place. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna go from 10 to 1. 10 to 1. This is I think this is as of like April or something. Oh, wait a minute. I don't know. Bud and Canelo? When was Bud and Canelo? But anyway, number 10, I have Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. This is y'all. Okay. Yeah, and this was like an exhibition, remember? Now this had 1.6 million buys and $80.5 million in revenue. Okay. Heavyweight legend Iron Mike Tyson clashed with Jones Jr. in a modern day money-making masterpiece in the modern era. Beginning of exhibitions, okay? as the pair met several years after they had retired. The clash was broadcast on new streaming service Triller. Right? Is Triller still around? But you just remember this was on Triller. And the card also featured a whole host of influencers, including the boxing debut of YouTube star Jake Paul. This was Jake Paul's debut, right? And that was when he knocked out Nate Robinson, the basketball player, remember? And the event also attracted a range of buyers by using music performances, including from rappers Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa. The spectacle was great to see, despite there being no result declared, with the majority suggesting Tyson did enough to win the fight against his fellow boxing legend. It is clear the pair had taken it serious from the incredible training footage, and it has invited other iconic fighters in the sport to follow the same path, including Floyd Mayweather, right? That's when Floyd started doing his exhibitions. And I heard Jake Paul backed out of the Anthony Joshua fight. Jake couldn't pay Anthony Joshua to sign that no knockout clause. Jake saw what happened to Ngannou, and Jake saw that coming. So Jake got out of that shit. Anthony wouldn't sign that no knockout clause. Jake said, "Nah, I'm not gonna be no Ngannou." So I think it's off. Yep. Jake got out of that. Joshua wouldn't find that no knockout clause. Joshua was gonna go in and try to hurt Jake. So Jake said, I'm out. Everybody ain't for that foolishness Jake Paul doing. He's just stick to promoting. He's not a fighter. Anthony Joshua would have took his head off his shoulders. Ngannou would, so, would take Jake's head off, so Jake wasn't doing that. Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto. 1.5 million buys, $94 million in revenue. Video. Floyd and Cotto. Miguel. Now, Floyd is a regular feature on this list. And his first appearance comes taking on the Puerto Rico star Miguel Cotto. This is a 2012 showdown for the unified super welterweight world titles, 154. It was the latest of Money's headline acts at the iconic MGM in Las Vegas, where Revenge was at its premium and saw some of the richest fighters in history clamor to compete there. And of course, the undefeated champion did exactly that, with an event packed to the rafters to see him share a chess match with Cotto, who put up a brave display, but was ultimately unable to derail the dominance of the American. Mayweather cruised to a unanimous decision win on the judges' scorecards, with an incredible amount of stamina and durability on display during fight night. Okay, here's Mike and Peter McNeely. 8. Yeah, this was Mike's first fight out of prison. And he's 1.5 million buys, $96 million in revenue. Not bad. A huge event with mammoth interest. This came in 1995 with the return of heavyweight icon Mike Tyson after a 4-year hiatus following his arrest in 1991 and subsequent prison sentence, where he was surprisingly able to train very hard. Okay? The event was billed as he's back and saw him take on fringe fighter Peter McNeely, despite having held talks over a potential mammoth showdown against Big George Foreman for his comeback fight. But it wasn't to be. That would have been huge. Him and McNeely had, they did what they did. Mike and Peter McNeely did 1.5 million buys. Just think what him and Big George would have done. That probably might be number one. Everybody wanted to see him. Hey, look when he came back. And then against Big George, making his return, that would have been huge. Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. 2, the bite fight. Was next, the bite fight. This sold 1.9 million buys, right? $100.2 million in revenue. The bite fight. And this is one of the most memorable events in boxing history. So it doesn't need a recap. Everybody know what happened. Right? It's quite clear from the huge buy rate. And revenue, quite how big this fight was. This was the second fight, remember? They were meeting for the second time at the iconic MGM in Las Vegas. And Mike was looking to avenge his defeat. You know, because said Holyfield kept headbutting him in the first fight. And then he said Holyfield kept headbutting him in the second fight. And the referee, when Mills Lane wasn't doing nothing. So Mike said, I'm going to do something myself. Things took a dark turn in one of the most bizarre fights in the sport's history. It became known as a bite fight. Mike bit him twice, right? First time, you know, the ring doctor and Holyfield's corner and trainer Lou Duva said, let it go. So they went on, and then Mike bit him again. So that was the end of it. Yeah, but a huge pay-per-view. Almost 2 million buys. And Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia is in there. Am I going the wrong way? There's Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia. A big one. This one sold 1.2 million buys and $102.4 million in revenue. Right? Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. Was he still with Floyd then? I can't remember. I know Floyd was there. Floyd popped up in the ring, it surprised everybody. Remember? But yeah, Tank got him out of there around the 6th round. Ryan fell in love with that left hook and just lost his defensive responsibility and everything. He was just left hooking to death. And he was in there against an intelligent, one of the highest ring IQs in the sport, man. Them knockouts don't just come to Tank. He sets them things up, and Ryan was just winging that left hook. He didn't learn from the knockdown in the second round. He just kept doing it. And he got caught. But it was a body shot, remember? And Ryan was down on that knee, and he saw Tank over there drooling, looking at him, and Ryan made a business decision. He said, I ain't getting nothing, because it was going to be bad. It was going to end bad. So Ryan made a business decision. Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. But you got to give Ryan his props. He done fought Tank, Devin, Roley, okay? The so-called four kings of Ryan, Tank, Devin, and Tio. Wasn't it who it was? Ryan has fought 2 of them. None of the other ones have fought. None of the other ones. Ryan has fought 2 of them. So love him or hate him, you got to give him his props. I usually don't give him nothing. But yeah, Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis. 1.9 million buys, $112 million in revenue. Wow. 112 million. Lennox and Mike. And Mike lost that one to Lennox Lewis. This was a huge battle between 2 of the biggest heavyweights in the division ever to have existed. This was in the 90s. He went up against British star Lennox Lewis, which was held in Tennessee after a pre-fight brawl prevented the event from being staged in Las Vegas. Yeah, because the bite fight had been out there, and then after the brawl, Las Vegas was like, nah, Mike, not in our state. Yeah, this is one of the wildest press conference moments in boxing history. Mike bit Lennox, remember, on the leg. Remember? Mm-hmm. And Mike went down twice in this one. But this wasn't prime Mike. This was after Buster Douglas Mike. Floyd and Canelo was a big one. Mm-hmm. This was 2.4 million buys, $136 million in revenue. Floyd and Canelo. Canelo took the fight just like Floyd did with Oscar, and Floyd blew up, and Canelo blew up after that. He was followed Floyd as the face of boxing. This is one of the biggest fights in Floyd's career. He took on fellow, this is Oscar, not Canelo. This is Oscar. My bad. This is Oscar. This was the big one. And Oscar was the king, pay-per-view king before this fight. You know, this is when Floyd took over. To be the man, you have to beat the man, right? And that's what Floyd did. Remember the wrestler Ric Flair? That you to be the man, you have to beat the man. But anyway, this was the big one. 2.4 million buys, $136 million in revenue for this one. Wow. But Floyd won by split decision. One judge gave it to Oscar. Oscar was over there doing all that windmilling, missing when they had Floyd against the ropes, but he fooled one judge. He fooled Floyd Sr. too, because Floyd Sr. said he thought Oscar won. Remember they interviewed Floyd Sr. in the ring after the fight? He said he thought Oscar won. Yeah. He said, I thought Oscar beat my son. Floyd Sr. was bitter because Roger was managing Floyd. Floyd Sr. was in there hating. You know damn well Oscar didn't win that fight. But he was hating because Floyd had Roger as his manager and not him. Sitting over there hoping his own son lose. Hating. I tell you, man. That's exactly what it was. He know Floyd won that fight. Floyd Sr. knows boxing. Then it was Floyd and Canelo. This was 2.2 million buys, $150 million in revenue. Yeah, this was the one. Another huge battle in Floyd's career came against Mexican hero Canelo Alvarez, right? And Canelo is currently the face of the sport, right? Took over after Floyd. And this fight represented a real tactical battle between two technically gifted boxers from different countries, and a hugely significant event, which headlined the U.S. box office market, generating huge revenue. And one judge called it a draw. Oh no, yeah, one judge called it a draw. I forgot her name, but she was in hot water already because of the Pacquiao Bradley fight. She gave Bradley the fight in that one. And then when she called this a draw, I think she got her walking papers after that fight. Her name, I forgot her name. Yeah, she never judged another fight after this one. You got to really mess up to be a judge and get your walking papers, because they get a lot of leeway. Normally they make these bad decisions and just get up and leave and go on off into the night, and you never hear from them about what they saw or anything. But this judge got her walking papers. Yeah, we talked about her when we did that show on the worst referees and judges. She never judged another fight after this one. Floyd and Conor McGregor. This one had 4.3 million buys, $396 million in revenue. Number 2 all time. 4.3. Wow. That's a lot of pay-per-view buys there. And Floyd let Conor go 10 rounds and tire himself out. Gave the people a good show. And then stopped him in the 10th round, remember? Yeah. Everybody, MMA people would say, oh yeah, Conor went 10 rounds. Woo, woo, woo. He did exactly what Floyd let him do. That's all. And they both made a lot of money. And number 1, Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus the Pac-Man, still number 1. This one was 4.6 million pay-per-view buys and $410 million in revenue. Okay, this was a joint promotion between I think the Bob Father and Floyd was promoting himself then, wasn't he? Manny was still being promoted by the Bob Father, right? At that time. Floyd had branched off from the Godfather. Floyd was being managed by Al Heyman at that point. Remember, he had paid Godfather that $750,000 and branched out on his own, or with Al as his manager. And the Godfather had managed. They all made a lot of money, but the fight was a dud. The biggest commercial fight in boxing once again involved Floyd and his bitter rival Manny Pacquiao, who finally settled their boxing rivalry after years of promising to finally meet in the ring. The anticipation was like no other, with the fight held in the United States, but followed in huge numbers by Manny's supporters in the Philippines, with the whole country behind him. Manny had a country. Overall, the event generated huge gate fees, with expensive ticket prices snapping up in seconds, while pay-per-view numbers were monstrous even before the event took place. What was it? 4.6, almost 5 million pay-per-view buys, and $410 million in revenue. It's going to be hard to break that. It is going to be hard to break that. Yeah. See, records are made to be broken, but I don't know about that one. But let me finish. Yeah, that was a huge one, but the fight didn't live up to the hype at all. Yeah. It was one-sided, and then after the fight, Manny said he had something wrong with his shoulder, but he was throwing that right hand the whole fight, I thought. I don't know. If it was something wrong with you, an injury where it would affect your performance, you shouldn't have got in there. Or if you chose to get in the ring, you shouldn't mention it after the fight. Either don't get in there, or after the fight, don't mention it. Okay, because you made all that money and everything, so don't mention no shoulder injury. I thought that was weak. Like Floyd said, that was cowardly, man. You got in there and made the money, but then you're going to say something about your shoulder. It was hurt. Very cowardly move. Either don't fight, say you're hurt, or if you get in there and choose to fight, don't mention the injury. Right? That's the way I look at it. Yeah, but those were the top 10. And that's number one, Floyd Manning. That's going to be number one for a long time. That was in 2015, right? And reigned for 10 years so far. Yep. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, and if they would have fought in 2009-10, Pretty Boy probably would have beat him worse. Might have stopped. Because Floyd was more offensive back then, you know? That version of Floyd that fought Manny was a play it safe type, you know? And they're counting points and everything, making sure he's winning rounds. But Pretty Boy would have been in there aggressive on his ass. He might have stopped Manny back then, right? So, I don't know. But I still think Floyd would have won it. Yeah, but that's the top 10 pay-per-views of all time. What was the biggest mistake ever made by a boxing promoter? That had something to do with the James J. Jeffries and Max Schmeling situation back in the 1930s. James J. Jeffries and his manager made a deal with Joe Louis that they got part of his earnings for like the next 10 years. Just so Joe Louis could get that fight. Max Schmeling was supposed to get it because Joe Louis was the number one contender and Max Schmeling was number two, and Max Schmeling beat Joe Louis. Let's talk about that. But then they gave the fight to Joe Louis. and he made some kind of terrible deal to get it. I thought I already had that set up, but let's talk. That's Max Schmeling right there on the screen. The German fighter. He wasn't affiliated with the Nazis, though, what everybody thought he was, and he was hated because he was German around that time, you know. But no, he never supported the Nazi cause. As a matter of fact, he rescued 2 Jewish teenagers from the Nazis. Okay? Max Schmeling. Okay, so what was the biggest mistake made? Now, James J. Braddock never idled away 2 years after he won the title. Braddock stayed deliberately out of the ring for 2 years while he toured the country and milked every penny out of the title he could before he would be forced to defend and lose it. Max Schmeling was the #1 contender and mandatory challenger for the title, and Braddock knew very well he stood no chance of beating Max, so he refused to fight at all for 2 years. Because if he fought somebody else, he would have been stripped, right? So he didn't fight at all for 2 years. Promoters tried for 2 years to make the Braddock versus Schmeling fight. Only Braddock and the team deliberately avoided defending the title for 2 years. Why? Braddock was no fool, a natural light heavyweight. He believed he could not win against Schmeling or any other top heavyweight contender, and he needed to milk the title for all he could get out of it while he had it. Braddock was so poor, he had to take handouts for food during the Great Depression, and his manager, Joe Gould, he was a shady character, sought to make the most possible money out of the title while they had it. He was the one who made that deal with Joe Louis. For 2 years, Braddock avoided defending the title, which he knew he would lose, whoever he fought. Braddock and his manager froze the title, which allowed Braddock to earn money touring the country, giving boxing exhibitions and making paid public appearances as heavyweight champion. Your heavyweight champion was like the biggest, one of the most popular people in the world back around that time. 30s heavyweight champion, that was huge. He made a lot more money doing exhibitions against amateurs at county fairs and in speaking engagements than he was being offered to defend it in fights he was sure he would lose. When he was finally forced to return to fighting or have the title stripped, Max Schmeling was the #1 contender. The former champion Schmeling, a future Hall of Famer, he had moved into the #1 slot by knocking out the undefeated Joe Louis in their first fight. They hadn't had the second fight yet, okay? Now, German authorities refused to let Schmeling fight anyone other than the champion, seeing propaganda value in his regaining the title. Schmeling had been the champion earlier in the 30s. So there, Schmeling set as well. The Germans, the Nazis wouldn't let him fight anybody. If he couldn't fight the champion Braddock, they wouldn't let him fight anybody. Although he didn't support the Nazi cause, they still had control over him, okay? Because he had to live there. And you didn't cross the Nazis. That was like crossing the mafia, right? Hitler would have you killed. So anyway, so he just set as well. Didn't fight anybody, just like Schmeling. Despite increasing public distress at Nazi Germany, arrangements for a Braddock defense of the title against Schmeling were made by promoter Jimmy Johnston and the Madison Square Garden Corporation. Braddock, however, found a new way to stall and claimed a hand injury in training, which postponed the Schmeling fight. Okay, so Braddock lied about a hand injury. He found a new way to stall Schmeling out. There are no medical records proving the champion truly suffered the injury. Okay, no record of a hand injury ever surfaced for Braddock. And the delay allowed Braddock's manager to weasel out of the spelling defense. Mike Jacobs, promoter for the 20th Century Sporting Club, offered Gold 10% of all of the ring earnings of Joe Louis for the next 10 years if Braddock would fight Louis instead of Smelling. Wasn't that crazy? This Joe Louis's promoter offered Braddock, his manager, 10% of Joe Louis's earnings for the next 10 years. Okay? Now, Jacobs was able to ram this defense through using public disdain for the Nazis, although Smelling didn't support the Nazis. Now, while the commission protested, they did not sanction Braddock or Louis due to public pressure to deny the German a chance at the title. Braddock got his golden ticket with 10% of everything Joe Louis made for the next decade, and Smelling got screwed. And that is the real history of what happened in that situation. Wasn't that crazy? Joe Louis manager. Now, Joe Louis didn't have to agree to that. So every fight he had for the next 10 years after that, James J. Braddock, his manager, got 10% of it, just because they gave him the title shot instead of Smelling. That was just a crazy move then. All right, though. Hope everybody enjoyed today's show. Organizing a boxing event, starting off a new week of boxing history. Appreciate everybody for coming through today. Just Do Boxing is up next in these YouTube streams. Wasn't that crazy though? Offered the man 10% of his earnings for the next decade. Not the next 10 fights, the next 10 years. He could just retire. Every time Joe Louis fight, he getting paid. Right? And then Joe Louis, after he beat Braddock, he was in all championship fights for the next 12 years. Remember? He held the title for 12 years. 10 of those 12 years, Braddock got 10% of his purse. Wow. But 4 years he was in the war, so it really amounted to 6 years. But that was a crazy move, just to get him the title shot, and they didn't want to fight Smelling anyway. He knew Smelling or Joe Louis would beat him, but who would turn down that deal? Let Joe Louis beat you. You're getting 10% of his purses for the next 10 years. You know how they say, I'm going to get paid for losing this title. He really got paid for losing his title. Wow. For the next 10 years. And Joe Louis was the champion all that time, so he was getting top purses, you know? Wow. That's crazy. Okay, Just Do Boxing is next. Starting off another week of boxing history here at Cass Sports. Appreciate everybody for coming through today. Oh my goodness, I done messed up. Okay, I got it back. We got Thomas Hill, Just Do Boxing, Mike Mazik, Bruce Gas Boxing, Jazz, and more. Technique, Ray Patterson, Mike Rim, 21 YGL Green Light 53, Al Booger, BVO Sports TV, and Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody 1,000% for coming through today. We'll be back tomorrow with some more boxing history. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's The Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do Boxing is straight ahead. This is Cass Sports, The Boxtorian. Everybody have a great afternoon. Stay warm out there if you're on the East Coast, because it's snow, ice, single-digit temperatures, everything. Everybody have a good afternoon. the hell is that banging? Oh, excuse me.